Your rent just went up again, didn't it? Yeah, we know. But what if you opt out? What if you could trade that tiny apartment for an actual house with a yard and still have money left over? It sounds like a scam. It's not. It's just happening in places you never thought to look. We're talking towns where you can trade your crippling rent for an actual deed, not a fixer-upper that's one strong breeze from collapse. I'm talking move-in ready homes for the price of a used Corolla. And no, this isn't a glitch in the Matrix. It's real, and you're not supposed to know about it. But of course, there's always a twist. Sometimes it's a town that time forgot. Other times, it's a place where your biggest neighbor is a moose and your fastest internet is dial-up nostalgia. We are exploring 22 towns in the US where the prices will make your jaw drop and the fine print will make your soul sigh. Like this video and subscribe to the channel so the algorithm stops showing you overpriced condo tours. This isn't just a list. This is your escape plan. Let's get into it. Number 22, Augusta, Georgia. Augusta is a sleepy southern city where you can buy a house for a median price of $165,000. You get a beautiful, historic downtown on the Savannah River, a low-key vibe, and some of the most polite people you'll ever meet. It's the kind of place where life moves slow enough to actually enjoy it. The cost of living is a dream, and you're just a short drive from both Atlanta and the beach. Now there's one thing. Augusta has a split personality. There's the pristine, world-famous golf course, and then there's the rest of the city, which battles a higher-than-average crime rate and significant economic disparity. The job market is anchored by the medical district and the army base at Fort Gordon, but outside of those bubbles, it can be tough. As one local golfer joked, Augusta is paradise for 1 week a year and a reality check for the other 51. The summer heat is oppressive, a thick, wet blanket that smothers you from May to September. You'll save a fortune on housing, but you might spend it on a really, really good security system and a powerful AC unit. It's Southern charm with a side of lock your doors. If you think Southern charm mixed with a reality check is worth the price of cheap housing, then buckle up, because the next town on the list takes that same deal and adds a little more heat. Number 21. Birmingham, Alabama. The Magic City. Though let's be honest, the magic here isn't pulling rabbits out of hats, it's pulling a mortgage out of thin air. Birmingham's median home price is $161,000. Yes, you heard that right. That's not a typo. That's less than a one-bedroom closet in San Francisco, or what New Yorkers call a really nice parking spot. For under $200,000, you get a major southern city with deep cultural roots, legendary barbecue that'll ruin you for chain restaurants forever, and a medical hub so advanced, people actually drive into Alabama for healthcare. That's like finding out people willingly fly to Florida for driving lessons. It's shocking. But, as with any magic trick, there's a catch. Birmingham is also known for having a crime rate that keeps locksmiths and alarm companies employed for life. And while the city's history is powerful, home to the civil rights movement, resilience and progress, it's also a reminder of wounds that haven't completely healed. So, Birmingham is kind of like that friend who's hilarious, makes amazing food, and always has the cheapest drinks at their house, but also might get you in trouble if you hang out too late. Birmingham is a city where you can live big on a small budget. Just make sure your front door has more locks than your phone. Number 20. Buffalo, New York. Buffalo is the comeback story nobody saw coming. Like the underdog sports movie where the team actually wins at the end. The city's median home price? $150,000. That's less than the cost of a Tesla Model Y. And unlike the Tesla, your Buffalo house won't need a charging station. And if you'd rather rent? The average rent here is only about $1,393 a month. That's for an entire apartment, not a micro studio the size of a walk-in closet in New York City. And you're not just getting cheap housing. Buffalo comes with a revitalized waterfront, an NFL team, an NHL team, and a food scene that starts with wings and doesn't stop there. Plus, the Albright Knox Art Gallery ranks among the top 10 art museums in the US, Add in beautiful historic architecture and neighborhoods that actually look like they belong on postcards, and Buffalo feels like a city that accidentally left an extra zero off its price tag. But then, there's the weather. Buffalo averages 95 inches of snow a year. That's nearly 8 feet of the white stuff, or what locals call character building. Winter isn't a season here. It's an Olympic sport. People don't just shovel, they excavate. If you move here, don't even bother asking, how bad can it get? Buffalo will answer with a blizzard. Still, the trade-off is clear. Incredible culture, sports, and dirt-cheap living costs. If you think a snow shovel is a small price to pay for culture, sports, and ridiculously cheap housing, then get ready. Y-19. Fort Wayne, Indiana. Fort Wayne is the king of meh, and it wears that crown proudly. This city isn't trying to be cool, trendy, or edgy. It's just solid, and that solidness comes with a median home price of $152,000, which in today's housing market might as well be a unicorn. Rent isn't bad either. A one-bedroom averages around $950, and a two-bedroom clocks in at roughly $1,150. In other words, your wallet actually survives here. Fort Wayne consistently ranks as one of the best places to live for affordability, safety, and family-friendly vibes. Schools are solid, neighborhoods are clean, and the city has enough parks and community events to keep life comfortably predictable. The trade-off? Excitement. Or, more accurately, the lack of it. Nightlife is tame, cultural events are safe and wholesome, and the city's vibe is aggressively pleasant, like a smile that never fades. For thrill seekers, creatives, or anyone who wants their daily life sprinkled with unpredictability, Fort Wayne might feel like living in a beige room. Still, if you value comfort, stability, and a budget that lets you breathe, this city quietly rules. Sometimes meh is exactly what you want. Someone on Reddit once said, "I own a home here and I'm bored out of my skull." My biggest weekend thrill is trying a new flavor at the local creamery. You're definitely trading adrenaline for equity. Number 18. Joplin, Missouri. Joplin is the city that looks a tornado straight in the eye and says, "Nice try." After the catastrophic 2011 storm, the city didn't just rebuild. It came back with shiny new houses, a revived downtown, and a "we got this" attitude that could inspire an entire Netflix series. Today, the median home price sits at $150,000, which is like buying a brand new roof and a front porch for less than a parking spot in Boston. Renting. A one-bedroom averages $850, and a two-bedroom is around $1,050. Affordable living doesn't get more literal. The community here is one of those everybody knows your name vibes. People actually check on each other. Downtown is cute, walkable, and sprinkled with enough cafes and quirky shops to make your Instagram jealous. And being at the corner of Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma means spontaneous road trips are basically a local sport. Of course, Joplin carries the weather equivalent of a plot twist. Tornado sirens are taken seriously. When they wail, everyone suddenly becomes a part-time meteorologist. But that's just part of the charm. Cheap houses, strong coffee, community spirit, and a city that laughs in the face of chaos. Number 17. Tupelo, Mississippi. You can buy a house in Tupelo for under $148,000, and your new neighbor might just be the ghost of Elvis. No, seriously. This is where the King was born, and the whole town is basically a permanent tribute act. You get a strong sense of community, friendly folks who say hello in the grocery store, and some of the best down-home cooking you'll ever taste. It's the kind of place where your biggest daily decision is sweet tea or unsweetened. The economy is surprisingly stable with manufacturing, healthcare, and of course, all things Elvis. So, what's the fine print? Well, it's Mississippi. The summer humidity doesn't just mess up your hair. It tries to drown you in the air you breathe. Your air conditioner will become your best friend, your worst enemy, and your largest utility bill. And while the town is progressive for the area, you're still deep in the Bible Belt. If you're not from around here, the culture can feel specific. As one transplant put it on a forum, Tupelo is sweet as pie, but sometimes you want something spicier, and the options are just more pie. Number 16. Wichita, Kansas. Wichita is the biggest city you've probably never thought about, and that's exactly why it works. With a median home price of $145,500, this aviation hub gives you the perks of a real city without the soul-crushing rent. Renting isn't bad either. A one-bedroom averages about $900, and a two-bedroom hovers around $1,100. That's city living for less than a fancy coffee habit in New York. The economy is impressively stable, built on aerospace, healthcare, and education. The city is flat, which makes biking, running, and casual frisbee chucking way easier than in the Rockies. And the locals? Polite, helpful, and genuinely friendly. People will actually wave when you drive past. Of course, it's Kansas, so the weather refuses to play nice. One week you might dodge a tornado, then shovel snow from a surprise blizzard, and by Wednesday you're sipping iced tea at 75 degrees. And if you like oceans or mountains, Wichita will make you rethink geography. Still, for affordable housing, solid jobs, and people who actually smile at you, Wichita quietly wins. Big city feel, small town charm, and a weather system that keeps life interesting, whether you like it or not. If you think Wichita's flat streets, friendly faces, and chaotic weather are charming, just wait, because the next town on our list takes cozy to a whole new level. With a price tag so low, it might make you question reality. Number 15. Macon, Georgia. Welcome to the heart of Georgia, where the music history runs deep and home prices are delightfully low. The median home price in Macon is $145,000, and rent isn't bad either. Expect around $900 for a one-bedroom and $1,100 for two bedrooms. That's Southern charm for less than a fancy night out in Atlanta. Macon gives you everything you imagine when you think classic Georgia. Antebellum architecture that makes you feel like you stepped into a history book, a downtown that's slowly getting its groove back, and a vibe steeped in music legends from Otis Redding to the Allman Brothers. Cost of living? Absolutely dreamy. Of course, Macon isn't perfect. The city has wrestled with poverty and crime for decades. The contrast between neighborhoods is stark. You'll pass breathtaking mansions just blocks from areas struggling to get by. But for those who get it, that mix of grit and beauty is part of the city's soul. If you think Macon's mix of history, music, and bargain homes is impressive, just wait, because the next city on our list is so cheap, it might make you wonder if you accidentally stumbled into a clearance rack for entire neighborhoods. Number 14. Beaumont, Texas. Deep in the heart of the petrochemical coast, Beaumont is where $140,000 can buy you a house, and your neighbor might be a refinery worker pulling six figures. Rent is just as friendly. A one-bedroom averages $850, and a two-bedroom goes for about $1,000. Money flows from oil and gas, creating blue-collar affordability with a real Texas vibe. The city brings Lone Star charm, with a Cajun twist from nearby Louisiana. Gumbo here isn't just dinner, it's a lifestyle. The locals are friendly, direct, and the type who'll wave at strangers just because. Beaumont has quirks you can't ignore. The air sometimes smells like money, sometimes industrial flair. Humidity clings for most of the year, and hurricane season is basically a cardio workout. Still, Beaumont embraces it all with grit, gumbo, and a shrug that says, "This is life, y'all." Cheap homes, spicy gumbo, and weather that doubles as a workout, Beaumont proves small cities can have big personalities. And the next city? It's so unexpectedly charming it might make you start Googling moving trucks mid-scroll. Number 13. Lawton, Oklahoma. In Lawton, your mortgage payment is basically what most people spend on avocado toast. With a median home price of $130,000, you can snag a house without breaking a sweat. Rent is cheap too. A one-bedroom averages around $780, and a two-bedroom goes for about $990. Much of this affordability comes courtesy of Fort Sill, a massive U.S. Army post that dominates the local economy. Life in Lawton is a mix of military energy and small-town convenience. You get a diverse, transient population, all the chain restaurants you could want, and a cost of living so low, it feels like you stumbled onto a cheat code for adulthood. But Lawton has a personality all its own. The wind blows like it's got a grudge, and the town has a temporary vibe. You might live here while waiting for your next duty station or your real life elsewhere. Jobs are largely tied to the base, so if you're not in the military ecosystem, opportunities can be limited. Number 12. Binghamton, New York. New York State, but make it affordable. Binghamton is a hidden gem in the southern tier, where the median home price is a relatively affordable $115,000. You get all the perks of being in New York. Great public spaces, proximity to stunning nature like the Finger Lakes, and no weird HOAS telling you can't paint your door purple without the soul-crushing price tag. It's a college townhome to SUNY Binghamton, which gives it a youthful energy and a decent number of coffee shops and ethnic restaurants. The architecture is classic Northeast, old, solid, and full of character. The cost of living is a beautiful anomaly, but there's an issue, let's say a big one. Upstate New York weather is a special kind of punishment. The gray. The endless, soul-sucking gray. From November to April, the sun is a myth you tell your children about. The economy, once powered by IBM, never fully recovered from its decline. It's a slow grind. The population is older. The vibe can feel defeated, like the town is still waiting for its comeback tour. 11 Rockford, Illinois. Don't call it the Chicago of the Midwest. Rockford is its own thing. A tough, blue-collar city with a surprisingly awesome park system and a median home price of $110,000. That's right. For the price of a luxury SUV, you can own a whole house near the second largest city in Illinois. The cost of living is so low, it feels like a secret everyone else is too snobby to discover. The reason it's a secret? Crime. Rockford has, for years, battled a reputation for high violent crime rates. While this is often concentrated in specific areas, it's a pervasive enough issue to keep property values down. The economy, once a manufacturing powerhouse, has been shaky for decades. There's a feeling of stagnation. As a local artist told me, Rockford will give you the space to create, but you have to bring your own hope. 10. Lansing, Michigan. Lansing is the state capital where your mortgage is basically pocket change. The median home price sits at $90,000, meaning you can live in a capital city without selling a kidney. Rent is just as friendly. A one-bedroom averages around $850, and a two-bedroom about $1,050. You get a stable economy fueled by the government and Michigan State University. So the city has a steady stream of young brains, coffee shops, and intellectual energy. The city's charm is quiet and practical. Lansing doesn't try to be flashy. It's more of a let's get things done vibe. For a capital, it's surprisingly low-key, which can make it feel more like a large town than a bustling city. And then there's the winter. Long, gray, and cold. The kind that turns even the most cheerful person into a grumbling snow zombie. Unlike Detroit, Lansing doesn't have that post-industrial cool factor or edgy art scene, so it's really all about practicality and affordability here. The city may not be flashy, but your bank account will thank you, and sometimes that's enough to call it a win. Number 9. Cumberland, Maryland. Nestled in the mountains of western Maryland, Cumberland is like that beautiful, slightly faded antique you find in your grandma's attic. It's charming, full of history, and dirt cheap. The median home price is around $85,000. Rent is just as friendly. A one-bedroom averages about $750, and a two-bedroom sits around $950. History buffs rejoice. Cumberland was a key stop on the old National Road, and its downtown looks like someone left a period piece movie set behind. You get 4 distinct seasons, and outdoor recreation is basically in your backyard. Hiking, biking, kayaking. You name it, Cumberland's got it. Plus, the cost of living will make your friends in DC clutch their pearls. Life here moves at a pace that lets you actually breathe, which is a nice change from the constant hustle of big cities. It's not all perfect. Cumberland is remote, job options are limited, and the population skews older. Nightlife for young singles? Let's just say early bird specials are your Friday night scene. Number 8. Huntington, West Virginia. Cumberland is like that charming relic in your grandma's attic that somehow survived every chaotic garage sale. Slightly faded, quietly proud, and dirt cheap. Median home price? $85,000. Yep, for less than the cost of a new car, you can own a house that practically whispers history at you. This town was a key stop on the old National Road, and the downtown looks straight out of a period drama. Bring your top hat and monocle if you want to blend in. Outdoor lovers rejoice. Hiking, biking, and kayaking are basically mandatory hobbies here. The air is fresh, the mountains are close, and the seasons are gloriously obvious. You'll actually know it's winter when winter arrives. Life moves slowly enough that you can catch your breath without feeling guilty. Of course, Cumberland has personality quirks. It's isolated, the job market is quiet, and the nightlife, well, let's just say, the squirrels have a better social calendar. Number 7. Gadsden, Alabama. In Gadsden, you can buy a charming 3-bedroom bungalow for under $90,000 and still have enough cash left over to buy a boat for the nearby Coosa River. Seriously, Gadsden is that hidden pocket of Alabama where living is easy, the tea is sweet, and the pace is slow enough to watch grass grow. Median home price? A cool $80,000. Your mortgage payment is basically a fancy car payment. You get rolling hills, a surprisingly pretty river walk, and neighbors who still wave from their porch swings. So why isn't everyone from Birmingham moving here? Because cheap has a recipe, and the main ingredient is often economic stagnation. Gadsden's claim to fame was once heavy industry. That's mostly gone, leaving a job market that's polite. Let's call it humble. The unemployment rate likes to hang out above the national average. If you're not in healthcare, education, or working remotely for a company that doesn't know you exist, options are slim. Crime? It's a mixed bag. You've got lovely quiet streets and then areas where you might not want to test your luck after dark. One local on Facebook put it perfectly. Living in Gadsden is like being in a cozy time capsule. The problem is, the capsule is sealed shut. You'll save a fortune on housing, but you might spend it on gas driving to Birmingham for a concert or a decent sushi spot. The social scene is what you make it, which usually means fishing, football, and figuring out new ways to cook deer meat. Number 6, Toledo, Ohio. I don't know if I already mentioned Toledo, but it deserves its spot. The Glass City on Lake Erie, where you can buy a house for a median price of $79,000 and visit a world-class zoo every weekend if you want. The perks are real. Amazing metro parks, a great museum, a minor league sports scene, and a gritty, unpretentious authenticity you can't find in more polished cities. The people are salt-of-the-earth friendly. So what could be the problem? The economy is too bad. Another thing is, winters are grey and bitter, blowing straight off the lake. And yes, the potholes are legendary. A Toledo native once told me, "We don't have much, but we have each other, and we have Tony Paco's pickles." Living here means embracing the underdog vibe. Number 5, Detroit, Michigan. Of course, everybody knows D-Town, because no place on earth embodies the too good to be true housing paradox like Detroit. The median price is $70,000, but you can still buy a house for $1 if you're willing to play by the city's rules. This is the ultimate high-risk, high-reward play. You can own a gorgeous, historic brick home with architectural details you'd never afford anywhere else. You can be part of a genuine cultural renaissance with a thriving arts scene, incredible music, and a sense of community among the people rebuilding the city. The only thing? It's Detroit. City services can be unreliable. Blight is everywhere. Crime is a real concern. The two Detroits narrative is true. A revitalized downtown and miles of struggling neighborhoods. You're not just a homeowner, you're an urban pioneer. You need a tolerance for chaos, a DIY spirit, and a deep well of patience. Living in Detroit means believing in something before it's fully realized. You'll have stories no one else has. You'll have equity that could skyrocket or evaporate. You're buying a piece of American history and betting on its future. It's the biggest scam, the biggest gamble, and the biggest opportunity all rolled into one. It's not for the faint of heart, but for the right person, it's the only place on earth. Number 4, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Pine Bluff is the kind of place where your down payment is less than your annual Starbucks budget. We're talking median home prices hovering around $65,000. Let that number marinate. You could buy a house here with the change you find in a Silicon Valley CEO's couch cushions. It's a historic river town on the Arkansas River, with beautiful old architecture just begging for a photo shoot. So what's the catch? Oh, there's a big one. Pine Bluff has struggled. A lot. It consistently ranks as one of the cities with the highest crime rates in the entire country, often topping lists no city wants to be on. Violent crime is a very real problem. The population has been declining for decades as jobs dried up, leaving behind economic hardship. The tax base shrinks, city services struggle, and the cycle continues. But, and it's a big but, that's why the prices are what they are. For the ultra-bold, the ultra-handy, or the ultra-remote worker with a serious security system, it represents the ultimate affordability play. You're not just buying a house, you're betting on a comeback that may or may not ever arrive. As one brutally honest Redditor said, Pine Bluff is not for the faint of heart. It's cheap for a reason. But if you've got grit, you can own a mansion for pennies. Would you live in a town where your house costs less than a luxury SUV, but you also invested in top-tier window bars? Number 3, Saginaw, Michigan. Move over, Detroit. There's another Michigan city where the prices are so low, they feel like a typo. Welcome to Saginaw, where the median home price is a cool $60,000. That's less than a single year's tuition at many private universities. For that, you get a city with a rich history, located on a river, with a surprising amount of park space. Saginaw was built on lumber and then automotive wealth, and the bones of that grandeur are still visible in the historic architecture downtown. There's a genuine sense of community here, a gritty pride that comes from being counted out and still showing up. But oh, then why are people not moving here? Like many post-industrial cities, Saginaw battles high crime rates, particularly property crime. Economic opportunity is not its strong suit. You'll find pockets of beautiful renewal right next to blocks of profound neglect. It's a city of stark contrasts. The winters are long, grey and cold, demanding a certain level of fortitude. Living in Saginaw is an exercise in seeing potential. It's cheap because the risk is priced in. You'll save enough on housing to weather any storm, but you have to be okay with the storm itself. As one resident put it on a city forum, Saginaw isn't for everyone. But suppose you want to actually own something and be part of a community that's trying, really trying. In that case, it's a place you can call home without selling your soul to the bank. It's affordable with an attitude. Number 2, Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown is the Rust Belt icon. Its story is the textbook example of industrial rise and fall. But from those ashes comes some of the most mind-boggling real estate deals in the country. The median home price here is $55,000. You can buy a house with an annual bonus. What do you get? A city with a fierce, loyal heart. A surprisingly vibrant and tight-knit arts and music scene that thrives precisely because it's not commercialized. World-class museums like the Butler Institute of American Art, and the cost of living is so low you might forget what inflation is. The reason for those prices is the reason you've heard of Youngstown. The economic devastation from the steel mill closures in the 70s was apocalyptic. The city has never fully recovered. Crime is high. Blight is a real issue. The population decline has been steep. You'll feel the weight of that history. As a local blogger wrote, Youngstown doesn't care about your resume. It cares if you have a shovel and are willing to help dig. It's not easy, but it's authentic. And lastly, number 1 on our list is Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Johnstown is the Mount Everest of American grit, except it's mostly hills, rivers, and a stubborn refusal to quit. This Rust Belt town has survived devastating floods, the collapse of steel mills, and more economic curveballs than a minor league pitcher, yet it still stands. And here's the jaw-dropper. The median home price is $40,000. Yes, $40,000. That's less than a luxury sofa. And, unlike furniture, it comes with walls, a roof, and a mountain view. Population hovers around 18,000, with a median age of 42.5 years, meaning locals have seen things and survived them. Winters are classic Rust Belt, gray skies, snowdrifts that double as cardio, and wind that makes your face question life choices. The job market is, let's say, selective. Mostly healthcare, retail, or remote work. You'll need to be creative or lucky to thrive here professionally. The upside? Breathtaking Appalachian scenery, neighbors who will lend you a chainsaw without blinking, and a cost of living that makes even suburban Pittsburgh blush. Johnstown forces you to make your own fun and your own opportunities. And that's our tour of America's best-kept secrets, where cheap homes come with character, quirks are included for free, and life won't bankrupt you faster than a latte habit. Proof that you don't need a fortune to find a place that's charming, surprising, and just weird enough to keep life interesting.